Lady Bird is a coming-of-age comedy drama that tells the story of a precocious 17-year-old Christine Lady Bird McPherson and the trials and tribulations of her teenage life. Written and directed by Greta Gerwig, the film stars Saoirse Ronan, Laurie Metcalf, Tracy Letts, Hedges and Timothée Chalamet. Now, going into this movie, I was very excited to see it. I know I've been saying that a lot lately, but catching up in all these films that I've been missing over the award season, Call Me By Your Name and Lady Bird were the final two films. They were the last two films I needed to see. Like Call Me By Your Name, I had the chance to see it last year back at the London Film Festival in October, but it was actually the surprise film, so I didn't realise that they were going to be showing it until it was too late, and then all the tickets sold out and I wasn't able to get to see the film, so I had to wait 4 months to see this movie. It's finally come out over here in the UK, and I got the chance to see the movie and I was very happy. I really enjoyed this movie. I just thought it was really great. Now, first off, what I have to say straight off the bat here is that I just love that this film was not trying to be anything bigger than it was. This is pretty much a basic, small, personal little indie film, and I love that about it. You could say, oh, it's not anything game-changing, it's not kind of very groundbreaking, it's not like some kind of revolutionary masterpiece. Yeah, you're right, but that's what I admired so much about this film, was that it was just so small and so personal. And there's a lot of kind of small indie films that are nominated for big Oscars, but I'm very pleasantly surprised that Lady Bird has got the recognition it has, because a lot of the time films like this that are very small and not trying to be anything bigger than they are kind of get overlooked. The Florida Project did, for example, but I love that Lady Bird has gotten this kind of recognition by the Academy, because, like I said, even some of the other smaller indie films that are nominated, they're films that are trying to be kind of very big and very theatrical and that are kind of very big cinematic experiences. Lady Bird isn't. It's a very small, personal little film, and I love that it has gotten this kind of recognition, because, like I said, films like this often tend to get overlooked. And one of the things I like most about this film, one of the best things about this movie in my opinion, was that it felt so true to real life, because we've seen a lot of films like this, a lot of coming of age teen comedy dramas. And what made this movie so special, what made it feel so different from any other coming of age movie we've had, is that it felt so much closer to real life than I've seen for any other movie like this, because it's depicting this relationship between this teenage girl and her mum, and we see a lot of these kind of relationships, a lot of these kind of family dynamics in movies before, but it never feels 100% exactly true to what it's like in real life. But Lady Bird is the first film where we're actually seeing these relationships, how they're actually like in real life, depicted on the big screen. And that was really great and really quite refreshing as well, because, like I said, we often see these relationships between certain family members and certain family dynamics, but they're often presented in a movie-like way, and we see like the movie versions of those relationships. But in this movie, we're seeing the actual kind of real life versions of those relationships, what it's actually like between a mother and a daughter in real life. I know a lot of people are coming out saying that, that's not what it's really like. Mums aren't that harsh. That's not what the relationship is like between a mother and daughter. Well, I'm guessing you don't have a mum and a sister in your life, because I do, and that is exactly what it's like, at least for me anyway. Maybe your mum and your sister aren't the same, but for me, the relationship and the dynamics between my sister and my mum is exactly like how it's depicted in this movie, and it was just so refreshing to see a film that depicted relationships like that in a way that felt so true to what it's actually like in real life, and it didn't feel like you're watching a movie. It felt like, yeah, that's what it's actually like, and it was just so great, but also so funny and so entertaining as well. Like, it was very true to real life, but it also worked really well on an entertainment level as well, because it was so funny, and because it was so true to what it's like in real life, we can really relate to the characters and identify with the characters, and it makes it so much more kind of funny. It's a lot more entertaining, because as well as being very true to what it's like in real life, we can also identify with those characters and relate to what those characters are going through, and so it makes it kind of funny as well, because it's so charming and endearing. And also, I've got to talk about the writing and directing here by Greta Gerwig, because it's her first film, it's her directorial debut, and it's completely incredible. You would not think that after watching this movie if you didn't know it, because it's just such a well done movie, and obviously it's not the most groundbreaking film ever made, it's not like the best directed film I've ever seen, but for a directorial debut it is bloody brilliant, and I love what Greta Gerwig did with this movie. Like I said, with the writing, with the interplay, the relationships between the characters all felt very real, very natural, very funny and authentic. But also the directing, I really like what she did with this movie from a directorial standpoint. It almost had flavours of kind of Wes Anderson in there. It wasn't kind of full-blown Wes Anderson, but there was some kind of like touches of Wes Anderson as far as the cinematography is concerned, in terms of how certain things were framed and certain things were shot, you know, with that, you know, the camera just looking at kind of horizontal landscapes with characters walking past. It very much had a Wes Anderson kind of feel to it, and again with the kind of the quirky kind of comedic nature of the film as well. So I won't be surprised if she ends up blossoming into a Wes Anderson type director down the line, because I really got those kind of vibes from this movie. I love that, even though this is a coming of age kind of comedy drama teen movie, and we've seen a lot of them, what I liked about this film is that, you know, with a lot of these coming of age teen movies, they're either set in the present, you know, the year in which they come out, or they're set in like the 70s or the 80s or 90s. I love that this film is set in the early 2000s, because you've never seen that before. But it was really great and really cool and really refreshing to see a coming of age comedy, teen drama that's set in the early 2000s. So it had that kind of retro, kind of nostalgic feel, so everyone watching the movie who were kids in the early 2000s can relate to it and identify with it even more so, because we were that age in the early 2000s, or we were very young kids in the early 2000s. So I loved that. It gave it a very kind of cool, kind of retro, nostalgic feel to it, and it really helped kind of separate it from the kind of the 70s, 80s, 90s coming of age movies, and that it was an early 2000s film, and that was really cool to see. And finally, of course, I've got to talk about the performances across the board here. Everyone is fantastic. I mean, like, everyone's delivering their A-game. Saoirse Ronan, I've been a big fan of hers for years, ever since she was a very young child actor. I've been following her career for years now, and it's kind of crazy because she's only 23 and she's been nominated for Oscars 3 times, including for this movie, and very well deserved. She's a really great actress. She's probably one of the best young actors, one of the best actors of her generation. She is so good, and again, she kills it in this movie as this teenager from Sacramento. Even though she's got a very strong Irish accent, I think she's one of the best actors in terms of doing accents, because she's got a very strong Irish accent, and almost every film she's been in, she's got a different accent, and she's really great, and you 100% buy and believe into the fact that she is this Californian teenager. She's really good, and like, the relationships between her and her friends and the people around her in her life, she's just a really great actress, and I think she did a fantastic job in this movie. But like I said, everyone else as well. Lucas Hedges from Manchester by the Sea and also Three Billboards pops up in this movie, another great up-and-coming young actor. And also Timothée Chalamet, Call Me By Name, pops up in this movie as well. Doesn't have a massive role, he's playing almost kind of the bad boy, the kind of rebel in this film, but he was really great as well. And then the parents, we had Tracy Letts playing the father, and then Laurie Metcalf playing the mother. And again, Laurie Metcalf was also nominated for an Oscar, and she was really great, because that's what's really at the heart of this movie. It's really a film about the relationship between a mother and daughter, this teenage girl in Lady Bird and her mother, and the back and forth, the relationship between those two characters throughout the movie is what's really at the heart of this film. And it ends in a surprisingly kind of emotional way. Like, it's a really funny, quirky, relatable, awesome little indie film, but it actually ends in a way that was actually getting surprisingly emotional, because like I said, we can really relate to these characters and identify with what they're going through. Even though I'm not a teenage girl, obviously, you can really relate to what these characters are going through, and I can identify with these characters with people I know in real life, like my mum and my sister. And towards the end of this movie and how it wrapped up, it was actually surprisingly emotional and quite a kind of poignant, kind of emotionally affecting conclusion. And even my sister was getting emotional, and she never gets emotional watching films. And so yeah, I just love this movie. It wasn't the most groundbreaking, revolutionary film I've ever seen, but the beauty of this film was that it wasn't trying to be anything bigger than it was. It was a very small, little, personal film from Greta Gerwig, fantastically acted across the board, a very charming, endearing, quirky, funny, entertaining movie this. I really enjoyed this film. It's just a breath of fresh air, because I've seen a lot of great films recently, but the great thing about Lady Bird is that, like I said, it is a very small, personal, independent little film. It's not trying to be anything bigger than it is, and sometimes it's just such a breath of fresh air to go in and watch a movie like this that has such kind of smaller ambitions than a lot of these other big cinematic theatrical experiences, and it was just such a breath of fresh air. I really enjoyed this movie. So overall, as you may have guessed, becoming a bit of a broken record at this point, but I'm going to give Lady Bird 5 stars. And there we have it, that wraps up my review of Lady Bird. Have you seen the film yet? And if so, what do you think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. And as always, if you like this and you haven't already, be sure to click subscribe to see more. If you missed my last review, be sure to go and click over here to catch up on my last review. I'll perhaps down here to catch up on some of my recent videos. But with that being said, I've been David O'Sullivan. I'll see you next time.